79, where we see young Harry Vardon being woken up suddenly as he sleeps in his cottage. He hears a noise outside and, curious as he is, goes out and approaches the men to check it out.
Who are you?
It's a group of rich gentlemen who have come over to survey the lands around his cottage to construct a golf course. He then asks them, "What's golf?" One of the gentlemen responds, "It's a game played by gentlemen, not for the likes of a young boy." Right here you see exactly how snobs think their pastimes aren't meant for common folks. I hope this boy proves them wrong.
Golf is a game played by gentlemen, not for the likes of you.
Years pass by, and in 1900, Brookline, Massachusetts, we meet a young boy named Francis Ouimet, who is a caddy for such gentlemen, with an amusement for golfing. He is really helpful and necessary, and with his discipline being added, Francis is the kind of boy everybody likes. That same day, he finds a golf ball with the name Vardon written on it. On his way home, he stops at a golf club maker shop and sees a picture of Harry Vardon, who is now the greatest golfer of all time. He then runs home, but on his way once again, he comes across a beautiful girl with the most beautiful eyes. Even in a story about golf, we get these small, almost cinematic moments of human sweetness. He smiles at her, and she does the same. At home, Francis lives with his father Arthur and mother Mary, who are both from the working class. His father Arthur always reminds him to bring home the money and take care of the family. This serves as a stark reminder and pinpoint to show how Arthur won't bargain security with entertainment or games. Arthur represents the immigrant working class father, wary of dreams, obsessed with stability, and who can blame him? That night, Francis spends much of his attention reading about Vardon and dreaming of being like him. The next day, the golf club maker who saw him staring at the picture yesterday shows up and places a tiny golf club in Francis's size. The man walks away, and that same late night, Francis gets up from bed and begins golfing. It's his first time, and he's excited. However, his mother tells him he is keeping his brother up and must sleep now.
No talking. No noises. You mean it?
The next day, Harry Vardon has an appearance at the city hall, and Francis begs his father to go and see it. However, Arthur, being the man of the house he is, denies it and orders him to go to school. Okay, familiar scenario. This is how parents unintentionally crush their children's dreams without even noticing. His mother wants her son to go and see what he wishes, but Arthur leaves the table saying no more of this talk. However, later on, Francis's mother Mary takes her son to the event and lets him go.
Go on, I'll find you.
Francis watches an exhibition by legendary British golf pro Harry Vardon, who's already a 3-time British Open champion and has won the US Open Championship as well in the past. He is so excited to see Harry Vardon in person and even volunteers to be picked when Vardon asks the audience for one. Harry first thinks young Francis is cute and all, but then gets serious to teach him how to hit the golf ball. This is amazing. Sometimes just a kind word or gesture from a pro can completely change a child's life. He shows him how to handle the golf club, and with a few shots, Francis is able to make a great shot. From that day on, Francis continues to practice golf on a daily basis around their yard. Arthur isn't proud, but so far, he hasn't said a word to his son about quitting the game. Back in England, Harry believes that he is being invited by Lord Northcliffe to join the Gentlemen's Golf Club, also the British Golf Association. This is a rare honor as Harry comes from the working class himself, and only lords are invited to join. But it turns out that Northcliffe only wants Harry to work for them for a wage.
Yes, we want you to work for us. Decent wage, you can run your own shop.
Now, Francis has grown up with a great passion for golfing. He is so interested that he practices putting it up at night in his room. Soon, we see Francis begin as a caddy in the US. The Country Club, a posh enclave located across the street from his home in suburban Brookline, Massachusetts, while making friends with the other caddies. He works on his own golf game at every chance and gradually accumulates his own set of clubs with the help of the club caddy master. Soon, a US gentleman, Mr. Hastings, asks Francis to play with him over the Country Club course, where caddies have almost no access of their own, and he shoots a fine round of 81 despite a triple bogey. The club caddy master is so interested in Francis's talent and determination, composure, and good manners that he earns admirers and interest. So he and Hastings ask him if he would like to participate in the National Amateur Championship here next month.
National Amateur Championships here next month.
However, the executive committee isn't fond of their 10-year caddy, Francis, resigning from his position to reserve his position as an amateur. Thus, they question his eligibility to compete if he doesn't have a home club to sponsor him. After some awkward belittling of Francis by the so-called Board of Gentlemen, who refused to let him compete unless he is a member, the caddy master says he will be his sponsor to Francis, as he is a firmly standing club member. However, even with that problem being solved, Francis still needs a $50 entry fee to be fully eligible and enter the tournament. This amount seems small today, but to a poor family back then, it was a risk. A literal gamble on a boy's dream.
$50 to play golf. I'll pay back every penny for my earnings.
Arthur, never being a fan of his son's hobbies, hesitates to waste his money on this. He is firmly convinced that such games won't give a man what he needs to take care of his family and fulfill his responsibilities. He also thinks that men there will use him as their own source of amusement, and he won't change his life by golf. However, despite it all, Francis tries to explain he is good at it and he likes it, and it could get him 2 places. However, Arthur remains conservative. In fact, he proposes a long-term problem-solving idea. He will give the $50 to Francis. But if he loses that game, he will quit golfing and shift his attention to working hard and bringing home an honest wage. On the other hand, if he wins, he pursues golf, and Arthur himself will support him. Now this is fair. The father is taking a risk, even though he doesn't believe in the game, but something tells me he'll regret this condition later. With that deal, Francis's hopes go up, and that night he goes to a party where all players are invited. There he comes across that beautiful lady with the beautiful eyes that he saw in childhood. She is trying to ditch some guy, and Francis helps her. With this initiation, they go to dance and talk a little for Francis's pleasure. But other than that, he feels out of place, as the gentlemen there are far richer and with noble backgrounds and respect.
You may have been invited, but don't get the idea that you belong here.
At the game of the day, Francis shows remarkable talent by making shots unlike an amateur. The beautiful girl Sarah is also there, and he is showing great potential to her amusement. His club caddy master is also there, along with Hastings. Meanwhile, back home, his mother worries and is anxious about what has happened on the field. In the distance, she can hear noise, but she isn't sure how her boy could be doing. After several more great shots and applause from the audience watching, Francis is set up to hit the one shot that determines his qualification. However, just then, he spots his father and is reminded how deadly and determining the shot is. Distracted, he misses and falls one stroke short of qualifying for the championship proper. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Sometimes just one glance from a loved one can be enough to throw you off and shatter your dreams. He is sad, but more angry at himself. Some of the players scold him for missing the shot and mock if he will caddy for them in the tournament. But Francis keeps his head down and leaves the field while his name is wiped off the board. At home, he shows his tearful eyes to his mother, and she knows he lost. His dad is happy now, but doesn't show it. However, Francis goes to his room and takes down Harry's newspaper that inspired him to become great, showing his quitting in the game. This gesture hurts, like seeing a kid take down a poster when their belief in themselves start to crack. Soon, there are sports titles, football, cricket, rugby, and golf at the same time. Harry wants an assistant and chooses one from the working class, Ted Ray, to mount his campaign. Ted makes money by performing golf party tricks for paying customers. Harry ignores the protests of all the major golf clubs in Britain, who want Harry to choose an assistant from among their members. Elsewhere, with much jeer from the rich folk like Freddie, Francis, now 20, fulfills his promise to his dad and works at a sporting goods shop in Boston as a cleaner, while continuing to live at home. So, here's the result. Honestly, it's sad to watch a young man give up his dreams just to avoid disappointing his father.
He used to be pretty good before he gave it up for the glamour of retail. Isn't that right, Francis?
Now, with his golf forgotten, Francis is still at the bottom of the working class and has to be humble. One day, he went to the opera with his mom to enjoy the beautiful sound of the singer. However, his attention is caught by Sarah, who is in the VIP section with her family. She becomes a symbol here. Not just a crush, but the life Francis feels cut off from. He now feels like he doesn't belong, even to get close to her. So he just stares at her, accompanied by the breathtaking sound of the singer. While returning home, he told Mary how he was mesmerized by the woman's voice, as if the song is coming from somewhere else but through her. His mother agreed to the gloriousness, but Francis went as far as telling her that this is what he wanted for himself. When Mary asks, "What for?" he just walks off, but we surely know he has a natural calling for golf, and he was talking about that talent of his. The next day, the president of the United States Golf Association enters the store with Mr. Hastings and personally invites him to play in the upcoming US Open Championship that will be held in 2 weeks.
We're holding our Open Championship there in 2 weeks.
Francis wants to play, but he remembered his promise to his father, so he told them he couldn't accept, with a very saddened but thankful attitude. The moment feels tragic. Here's someone with a chance of a lifetime, blocked not by talent, but loyalty.
Thank you, but I can't accept.
They couldn't do anything if he didn't want to play, so they left him not to bother. However, Francis's heart wants this more than anything, and he just said no because of his father, who told him to give up on dreams and make more money to bring home. Despite it, he once again grabbed a golf club at the shop and mimicked his old days. Shortly, Sarah visits him and talks to him about golfing, but he just told her he saw her father and brother usually here in the shop. He feels a bit embarrassed because, unlike her background, he doesn't have much choice in life, and he felt inferior to be part of her group. She felt bad for him, but what can she do other than leaving him, saying, "See you later." Later, Henry sees and hears the sounds of applause for the golfers, and he feels compelled to talk to Mr. Watson again. Rushing, he went and told him he changed his mind.
Yes, what is it?
Well, if that offer playing the Open is still good, sir, I'd love to take you up on it.
I'm
The
busy.
club caddy master was there with Watson, so he was happy Francis changed his mind. He went on and told him to be prepared for some practice before the game. Soon enough, Francis began his firm dedication to build himself as the best, and the caddy master was appreciative of his efforts. There's something deeply satisfying about a training montage even in pros. This one earns it. Soon, Francis secures entry to the 1913 US Open that takes place at the country club, and the game begins. Just at his first shot, Francis hits 6 straight birdies at the course to convince Mr. Hastings and the club caddy master that he is ready for the Open Championship. Meanwhile, his other competitors, who are far more skilled, experienced, and of noble background, are getting a debrief, which Francis also attended. The favorites are British champions Varden and Ted Ray, who are accompanied by the snobbish Lord Northcliffe, and the reigning US Open champion John McDermott. Northcliffe looks to see that either Varden or Ray wins the Open to affirm British dominance over the Americans in golf, and also to prove that only gentlemen are able champions. The environment is filled with tension as one considers himself better than the other, and the only humble guy in the room is Francis, who even claps to support their statement. Later, however, his caddy boy abandons him at the last minute because some English guy has offered to pay him more. Francis was terrified and asked him to stay, but the boy prefers money over loyalty.
I can't give you anything like that. Sorry, Francis. I got 2 kids at home.
Distraught, Francis starts to look for another caddy boy for tomorrow's game, but his luck only leads him to a little boy, Eddie, who is eager to be his caddy. Eddie is the soul of the story. A kid who shows up, believes, and never backs down, a mirror of young Francis. Francis only agrees to let him be a scorekeeper and not his main caddy boy, but he insists Eddie's older brother Jack show up tomorrow early to assist him. Later, he went home and was stalked by his father. Arthur is disappointed because his son couldn't follow in his footsteps and ventured to follow his dreams, so he questions if his son is still under his will.
This is for your own good. I am trying to protect you.
Feeling like he's the right one, Arthur informs Francis that he must find his own place to live after the tournament, since he now lives by his own rules and doesn't need him. Francis agrees. However, his mother has been supportive of his golf from the start, and probably will be disappointed by this. The next day, Francis came to the field, but only to realize Jack ditched him for school, and now his only option is to take Eddie, the little boy who is eager to be his caddy. But Francis isn't so sure of him. Come on, Francis. Sometimes the greatest support comes from the people you least expect it from.
I'm 5th grade and I want a caddy for you.
Shh, just a second. Calm down for a second.
Regardless of Eddie's childish approach, Francis has no choice but to make him his caddy. Eddie was small, excited, and didn't know much about the game, but his heart was in the right place. Francis wasn't sure if he could depend on him, but with no one else to help, he decided to take the chance. After the first 2 rounds, the competition was tough. Harry Vardon and Ted Ray, both experienced British players, were in the lead. The defending champion John McDermott couldn't keep up and slowly fell behind. Francis at first struggled to find his rhythm on the course, but with Eddie by his side cheering him on and helping to keep him focused, Francis started making one good shot after another. By the end of the 4th round, something nobody expected happened. Francis tied with Vardon and Ray. That meant all 3 of them would face each other in one final 18-hole playoff to decide who the champion would be. That night before the big playoff, Lord Northcliffe made fun of Francis's background in front of Vardon. He mocked the idea that someone from a poor family, someone without class or noble ties, could ever truly be champion. Oh, these arrogant snobs. Makes me want to grab Harry Potter's broom and magically spank some sense into them.
It's a 2-man game now, my lads. An all-English final.
Vardon, who also came from a working-class background, didn't take it lightly. He stood up for Francis and told Northcliffe that if Francis won, it would be because of his talent and hard work, not where he came from. He reminded Northcliffe that being a true gentleman means respecting others, especially those who earn it.
And if Mr. Wemett wins tomorrow, it's because he's the best, because of who he is.
The next day, the playoff round began. All 3 players, Francis, Vardon, and Ray, played at their best. For most of the round, they were neck and neck, but as they reached the back 9 holes, Ted Ray started to fall behind. That left only Vardon and Francis fighting for the win. They were just 1 stroke apart heading into the final hole. Shortly, Vardon played first and finished with a par. The crowd was quiet as Francis stepped up. The pressure was high. He could feel his heart racing, his hands shaking. One missed shot, and it would be all over. Eddie, seeing that Francis was nervous, leaned in and gave him a little pep talk. Just a few calm words to remind him who he was and what he could do.
You need this for 72. You can do it.
With that, Francis took a deep breath and focused. He made the putt. It went in. What a moment. His entire life was riding on this one shot, and he nailed it. Truly inspiring. The crowd erupted with cheers. Francis Ouimet had won the US Open. People began lifting both Francis and Eddie on their shoulders, cheering and celebrating. Some even offered Francis money on the spot. He told them to give it to Eddie, except one small bill offered quietly by his father, who now at last looked proud. The moment and eye contact said everything. His mother also smiles in the distance with happiness filling her spirit. Later, inside the clubhouse, Vardon came to Francis privately. He smiled and told him he played like a true champion and suggested that maybe someday they could play a round of golf together, just for fun. Francis nodded. It wasn't just about winning, it was about respect. Shortly, Francis and Eddie left the course together holding the US Open trophy, walking proudly and smiling like they own the world. It ends how it should. 2 underdogs walking off with pride, proving heart beats class. As for what happened next, Harry Vardon went on to win his